I'd like to start off by saying, never trust anything but the 100% name brand official seller. I learned this lesson the hard way, a way that no one should ever have to endure. Let me tell you my story. It was a nice day, no rain or snow or anything of that nature. It was midsummer, and it was showing with temperatures in the mid-90s. Being the 14-year-old kid that I was into what everybody was referring to as the electronic age. I had no cell phone, no 52-inch plasma HD TV. The only thing I was lucky enough to eventually save up enough money for was a PS3. The only reason I chose the PS3 was because it had no games. No, wait, was because it provided a free online service. Money wasn't something I could be throwing away like it was nothing, but I was still wasting my money on a PS3. Another thing I should add was that I was incredibly tech savvy and also very handsome with a giant penis. I was fluent in computer coding, building and restorations of computers and technology, such as iPods and iPhones, Nintendo DS's, etc. I was always looking for new projects, and I had even advertised myself as a technology repairman. It came to me as no surprise whenever I'd have friends come up to me with their broken cell phones or a 3DS and ask me to fix them. I was happy with what I did. It was how I saved money, and I liked my job, so to speak. Like they say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. So I continued on doing what I did. It wasn't until I came across the one object that scarred me for life that I never wanted to touch another piece of technology again. God have mercy on your soul, should you ever come into contact with what I did. Jesus Christ. The only reason I found this item was because of what I was doing. I not only fixed things for other people, I fixed the damaged things people were selling for pennies on the dollar and kept them for myself. A wise investment which saved me literally hundreds if I got the right deals. So when I saw a 2G iPod Touch on eBay claiming minor damage such as broken LCD and needing a new battery, it wasn't anything new for me to pay the $20 they were asking for. It wasn't until I started tinkering with it that I knew just what I had gotten myself into. I was an impatient kid, so I couldn't just wait for the next version of the iPod Touch to come out. I hated waiting, and if I could find any way that I could to get my hands on something quickly, I'd do it. So I paid for express shipping, and what do you know? I got that son of a bitch in 2 days. There's also a period after that question mark that shouldn't be there. I planned ahead and express ordered a new LCD screen and battery off of Amazon. The total project was about $50 with all new parts in it, so I didn't mind because it saved me about $150. What would have saved me, $200 is just not buying a fucking iPod Touch. First things first, I got out my toolkit, popped off the broken LCD, replaced it in a snap, put the new battery in, and in less than 20 minutes I had myself an almost brand new iPod. Curious as all hell, that's a line by the way, I decided to see what the guys selling it on eBay had put on the iPod. Grave mistake. The biggest pain in the ass is connecting the iPod to iTunes to turn the iPod back on, so I dug through my cable box. Doing numerous jobs can get you a nice little box of handy cables, and pulled out a 30-pin connector. I plugged the USB end into my computer, the other end into the iPod, and I hooked it up. The guy had named it Jared. Nothing too skeptical except for the odd pictures of Subway sandwiches on it. It was probably just the name of the guy who sold the iPod. I let iTunes do its thing, and it didn't take long before the iPod was fully functional again. I almost panicked when it hit the unlock screen, but for some reason there was no passcode lock on it. Lucky for me. He had a black lock screen background and a pentagram drawn in what looked like blood for the icon background. Creepy as fuck, right? Thank you, author, for telling me what I'm supposed to be feeling right now. That turned out to be the least of my worries. The iPod had been jailbroken, so it came as no surprise when I saw numerous apps that were, well, illegal. I had a Game Boy emulator on it. It was terrible. He had put a specific code lock on one folder on the iPod. It had one app in it that I couldn't make out the picture to, with it being in the folder. The folder was titled Stowaway. Puzzled and already creeped out by the unnerving background of the iPod, I decided to look through the documents he had stored on it before I completely wiped this thing's memory. Cause it's a creepypasta and I have to do something with it. This can't just be, I bought a new iPod and I'm a genius with technology, the end. He had that 1 amp from Cydia that allowed you to delve into the iPod's hard drive and mess with the actual files in it. iFile. I shoved it off until later and headed for his photos videos. There were approximately 12 photos and 2 videos. I was a great counter. Every picture and both videos were of the exact same thing. It was a little girl, probably about 8 years old in age. The pictures were heartless, gut-wrenching, and downright awful, just like this story. The first picture, and all the way down to the last picture, showed her being dismembered piece by piece. The first photo, gross, 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 gross. The last photo was gross, gross, gross. I was at the verge of puking and just throwing this thing away when I remembered the 2 videos. Since I was such a pussy that I almost puked from just the pictures, I thought the videos would be a good idea to watch. Seeing the pictures and the thumbnails, I had a pretty good feeling of what was in those videos. Taking a deep breath and after getting a glass of water, I started the video on a low volume. Just put your headphones in. It began with the same girl as before, unharmed and looking pretty as a doll. What? Bro, you just saw this girl get dismembered. It's a bit too soon for that. Her face went from a slight smile to an unnerving glare as she slowly began to sit down. She sat cross-legged, leaning her head back and stretching her arms out, saying the one thing I will never forget to this day in an almost staticky, growling voice. PS3 has no games. Wait a second, no, that's not. Gloria Satanas et Belial et Spiritui Maloso. Whatever. I don't know Latin. The video ended with her arms bleeding, razor-like cuts running down them and down her sides. I was terrified at this point. I had just witnessed a girl practically be taken over by Satan. Oh, Christ. I had to see the second video, though. Why? Why? Why would you do that? Summoning my courage, I selected the second video with a grimace. The clip started with her body in a pentagram. There was a man in the video this time, and the point of view was overhead so that you could see everything happening. It finally came together in my head. This was a satanic sacrifice thing. I'm guessing the whole Satan and pentagrams thing didn't give it away until this point. I wasn't very familiar with satanic rituals, but I knew the gist of them. This is so stupid. Why is this on the wiki? The photos were basically stills of what happened during the second video. He spoke softly in Latin, his voice peaking on certain tones when he'd say something as he worked. He gross, 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 gross. He then took it down a more gruesome path that I had a hard time watching and comprehending. I was also extremely surprised at how well the girl took it. You know, she was a real champ, that one. She didn't squirm or anything. He removed her gross, gross in a truly satanic way. He took a scalpel and gross, 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 gross. She was well beyond the point of death, and her body was nothing more than a sacrifice to Satan. I can't take the word Satan seriously here. He cut down her gross, starting at her gross, 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 gross. Setting them aside in a pan, he continued on with his hellish work. Oh, thank God, we're almost done. He took a black marker, drew a line running across her neck, and picked up a wood-cutting axe. Tilting her head back to reveal the throat, he gave a few test swings grazing her throat, and then with a grunt swung the axe down precisely on the line, decapitating her. The sound was gross gross. It was the sound of a gross being gross. You can hear the sound of every gross gross gross. It was a gross gross, and it was nothing short of gross. She had lost most— oh god damn it, we're still on this! She had lost most of the blood in her body from the gross gross during the attack on her Titan. Why not? But she still managed to spurt a decent amount of blood from the stump where her head used to be. He tossed the lifeless midsection away and held up the decapitated head to the camera, shouting Lucifer's prayer in Latin. I was done at this point. Oh, this is what did me. You know, this is what did me, and I'm done now. I closed the video, deleted the 12 pictures in the 2 videos, went into iFile and deleted every trace of that shit from the iPod. And shuddered. It wasn't until I looked closer at the icon background that I noticed it was the girl being sacrificed. I attempted to change it. Believe me, I tried. I deleted every single godforsaken file using iFile. loaded it onto iTunes, and even factory restored it, but it was almost like the background had been physically glued to the screen. At this point I said fuck it. I didn't even bother with salvaging the parts and got rid of that fucking thing. I did the traditional way of getting rid of anything I needed to get rid of. I took it apart piece by piece and burned it. No, I didn't burn the battery. Oh yeah, that's what I was worried about, you know. Oh man, don't start battery fires. But I sure as hell didn't keep it. After knowing that it was in contact with whatever it was inside that iPod that was unholy as Lucifer himself. Oh man, was it worth it getting to this part? Maybe. I burned what I could to ash and smithereens, disposing of the metal casing in the garbage. I wish I could dispose of this story in the garbage. The battery was properly disposed of, but the memory still remained. Crawling in his skin. These wounds ain't gonna heal anytime soon. I thought I had gotten rid of the damn thing. I hoped that it was gone. I burned it and had it industrially crushed. But that didn't change the fact that I had connected the damn thing to my computer. Guess what my PC background is now? Finally! It took 15.5 minutes to record. That was dreadful. What a miserable fucking story. It's literally just my iPhone was possessed by Satan, featuring Gore and Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Oh my god. This was awful. Why is this still on the wiki? How long has this been on here? How long has this story been on here? That is insane. Like, if this were posted like 15 minutes ago, I'd just be like, oh, it's gonna get deleted anytime soon. No, this has been up for years. Oh my god, this is dreadful. Alright, let's take a look at some of the comments. Let's see. Good pasta, but the same cliche of a video about happy little girl who later got dismembered. The ending and the beginning was good. 7.2 out of 10. I have a few things to say about this comment. In how many creepypastas is a happy little girl who got dismembered on video a cliche? Like, you're making that a very specific point, like not just, oh, dismemberments or little girls. It's all of those things together. And then you give it a 7.2 out of 10. Like, is there too much water in it? What the fuck? The ending was the best part. The rest, mediocre. 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. If you're so tech savvy, change your damn background. If you were so poor, why did you pay for express shipping for a broken phone? Nice pasta, good wording, keep it up, 11 out of 10. Seriously, so many of these are just like 10 out of 10s and 11 out of 10s. Oh my god, look at this one. 3, 2, 4, 5, 4, 3, 5, 6, 4, 5, 3, 2, 6, 4 out of 10 by Anonymous Baka. This has been up since at least 2013. I cannot believe this. What an awful story. Oh my god, is this worse than Jeff the Killer? Oh god, maybe. Oh my god. Alright, I'm done. I'll see you all next time. Go ahead and leave a request for a future reading or review in the comments. Oh my god, this was horrible.